So hello everyone. Just before I begin, can I sort of get a reaction, a show of maybe hearts? How many of you are continuing to use terrestrial invertebrates in demonstrations or experiences or talks? This is live animals out of their enclosures. Got a few. And if you're currently not, but you would be if it wasn't for social distancing and handling and COVID, can you do me another heart? Okay, that's super interesting, thank you. So I'm just going to share my screen. Wonderful. So essentially, I'm going to split this into two parts. The first being an overview, as we're reaching a decade of the Big Bug Bonanza now, and then the second part will be essentially an assessment of where we want to move forward with the campaign. So I'm hoping that many of you will be aware, but the BIAZA Big Bug Bonanza is a biennial event hosted every 2 years, and it was originally launched in 2011. So the overarching goal is to inspire and encourage people to understand, value, and conserve the invertebrate world. The campaign has 3 primary objectives. So the first one is to raise public awareness of the importance of invertebrate life in our ecosystems. The second is to elicit positive attitudes towards invertebrates by the general public. And then the third is to encourage positive behaviours towards invertebrates. As the event was launched, a call was put out to BIAZA members at the time, asking as many members as possible to create resources that could be uploaded to the members area of the BIAZA website. The mindset being that if those resources are readily available and not every zoo has to recreate them and recreate the wheel every time, we'll get higher engagement, and hopefully it'll make the event a little bit more accessible to participating collections. I will say, as we move forward, a lot of the pictures that I'm using and a lot of the data from the evaluation of the event has come from Tracy Dove's wonderful article in the International Zoo Educators Association journal that's recently came out. So Tracy did a fantastic article on planning and evaluating the Big Bug Bonanza. Please do get a copy and read it if you can. I don't want to claim any of this my own work because a lot of this is definitely Tracy's fantastic work. So following the launch in 2011, we've had quite good engagement from the BIAZA community, and it's left to individual collections' discretion how they'd like to engage in the event. Typically, collections will engage through craft activities. Over the years, we've had a lot of close encounter and handling of terrestrial invertebrates within Big Bug Bonanza events. Also developing habitats for invertebrates, so creating bug hotels, and then guest speakers as well. So the example there is from Venom Tech at the Isle of Wight Zoo. However, for the first couple of years, the focus was more on evaluating the campaign's success from a visitor engagement and satisfaction point of view. And for the first couple of years, the event didn't particularly evaluate whether people were going home having learned to value invertebrates or learned how they can assist invertebrates in their day-to-day lives. So for the first couple of years, those 3 objectives at the beginning weren't particularly evaluated. We were looking more at, well, did people enjoy the event? So in 2017, and again, I keep putting shouts out to Tracy, but this is all definitely her hard work. The Terrestrial Invertebrate Working Group developed this evaluation form, and we asked participants in the Big Bug Bonanza whether they could describe 3 words for bugs, how they feel about bugs, have their feelings changed as a result of attending the bug event? And then further down, do you think there is anything you can do to help conserve animals like bugs? A yes or a no? If yes, then what? And how did you find out about this? That final question has led to a little bit of confusion, which I'll come back to in a minute. But this evaluation form was launched in 2017 and uploaded to the members area again under the BIAZA website. Institutions wishing to take part were requested to register with TWIG to help us track the evaluation process. At the time, 32 BIAZA collections registered, but we found out later that actually there was substantially a little bit more collections that did engage with the event that year. And essentially we were looking to evaluate whether we were hitting those three objectives. So again, this is all lifted from Tracy's article in the IZE journal, but our first objective was to raise public awareness on the importance of invertebrate life in our ecosystems. As you saw on the questionnaire, we asked visitors to give 3 words that describe bugs. Unfortunately, their 3 words lacked anything relating to ecosystem role as a whole. And from that, TWIG has re-evaluated the evaluation form to refine it and hopefully target that objective a little bit better. So unfortunately, from the 2017 event, objective 1 wasn't met, or well, we didn't have the information available to be able to say whether we did or not. Objective 2, to elicit positive attitudes towards invertebrates. 44% of those asked reported that they felt more positive towards invertebrates as a result of attending the event. We've got a lovely table on the next slide, which I'll just flip to. So the blue columns represent feedback from members of the public whose attitude had changed because of the event, and the red column, those who had not changed. But we do have an overwhelming number of positive responses and an overwhelming number of positive responses from those who might not have been so positive when they first came to the zoo that day at whichever BIAZA member it was. And then finally, objective 3, to encourage positive behaviour towards invertebrates. So we asked visitors whether they knew of any actions that they undertake to conserve invertebrates. Most popular responses, as you might expect, was making bug hotels, planting pollinator flowers, avoiding pesticides, a lot of habitat creation, and just don't kill invertebrates, letting them go outside, which is a positive one. Unfortunately, though, from the first evaluation form, we asked at the bottom, how did you find out about this? And a lot of people interpreted that question as, how did you find out about the event, not how you found out about how to help conserve bugs. So we have since refined the form. So we still have, we still have please write 3 words to describe bugs. And then a little bit further down, we've got, do you think bugs are important? Yes or no? If yes, why? And hopefully, we haven't quite done the evaluation yet, but hopefully that will help us understand whether we're hitting objective 1 a little bit better. So overall, for the first 10 years of the event, as I said, 2017, we had engagement from over 30 BIAZA collections. We do feel like the event has been successful in achieving its objectives or its overall goal, its mission as a whole. However, our 2021 engagement was a little bit disappointing. With that said, we are fully aware that we were in the midst of COVID. So it is a biennial event. So we hosted it in 2019, skipped 2020, and then in 2021 in August, we launched the event again. Only 3 institutions registered with TWIG, and we later found out that there was an additional 2 that held some form of Big Bug Bonanza event, and that was through a lot of social media searching. We may be wrong, there may be more people who did host some form of Big Bug Bonanza event that summer, in which case I apologise if I've missed you out. But it did open a pretty big conversation within the Terrestrial Invertebrate Working Group committee as to why we had such a lack of engagement. Was it that it's a knock-on effect of COVID-19 and closures? Was it due to lack of staffing, facilities, or energy? I will hold my hands up and say I started at Ask and Brian in late July, and the Big Bug Bonanza was in early August, settling into a new job, and it was our first summer reopened properly. We did not host the Big Bug Bonanza at Askham, and it falls under my remit. So it is very likely that that COVID-19 and the intensity of reopening in summer 2021 did have a knock-on effect. Was it that there was an inability to engage in live invertebrate demonstrations and handling due to social distancing? So previously over the years, there has been a lot of invertebrate handling at the Big Bug Bonanza. And was it a case of not being able to undertake the event in the ways that member institutions would like to because of social distancing? On the subject of handling, as many of you are aware, the standards are currently undergoing review, as is close contact within BIAZA. And actually, are we slowly moving away from handling as a community? Should we be moving away from handling as a community, as David so interestingly pointed out earlier? But is that having a knock-on effect on the Big Bug Bonanza? And then finally, 10 years on, is there just a general lack of excitement surrounding the event? Do we need to spruce things up a little bit, which I'm hoping you guys will be able to provide some input into. I would like to give a little shout out to Drayton Manor though. Chloe at Drayton sent over a wonderful PowerPoint filled with evaluation. This was their 2021 Big Bug Bonanza campaign. So they asked local primary schools to create model native invertebrates from recycled plastics to help educate on native invertebrates, but also recycling and reusing. And I just wanted to show these off to everyone because I think they're so fantastic. I'd quite like the bee myself, but I thought it was definitely worth a show, and a big thank you to Drayton Manor for engaging in such a wonderful way. So finally, I won't talk too much because I'd like to hopefully get some comments in the discussion section. But moving forward post-COVID, originally, the Big Bug Bonanza was a biennial event because the National Insect Week was also a biennial event. It was on the alternating years. However, we've learned from the Royal Entomological Society this year that they're moving forward with the National Insect Week as a yearly event. So they'll be hosting it every single June, I believe, moving forward. So with that in mind, do we still want the Big Bug Bonanza to be biennial, or should it be an annual event? Will that encourage momentum? And should it have an annual focus each year? So in the same way that the BIAZA has its campaigns that it changes and swaps, should the Big Bug Bonanza focus specifically on one thing each year or every 2 years? So examples of that bit may be changing perceptions towards spiders, or perhaps it could be a more broad topic such as colour in the invertebrate world or invertebrates in literature. Or could it be actually that, for example, butterfly conservation have launched their new 5-year strategy, and could it be that we really focus in on engaging the public with butterfly conservation and we try and partner up with another organisation? So yeah, I'd like to know people's feedback, as would the rest of the Terrestrial Invertebrate Working Group committee. So hopefully, I'd like the event to continue forward, but if there is an interest from the wider community, and we'd rather sort of pass that focus onto National Insect Week, it'd be worth us knowing. So please do let us know your thoughts.